Hello, everybody. Welcome to another special guest live stream. Apologize if you thought you had 2 minutes left because I'm starting this a little early. I was a little late starting the 5 minute countdown, so I hope that you don't mind. So thanks again for stopping in. Got another special guest for you today. Today, I've got Raina from Small Retired Life. Let me read you just a quick little intro. Raina is a solo content creator from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and her channel is called Small Retired Life. Raina spent 30 years in the investor relations field working for various companies, helping companies with financial communications. She retired in 2020 and after a few years decided she needed a new challenge, which is when she turned to YouTube. So please, everybody, welcome Raina. Hello, Raina. Thanks for joining us. Can you hear me?
I absolutely can. Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone.
Awesome, great, and yeah, thanks for joining us. This is great. I think people are gonna be able to learn a lot from you. How was the intro? Did I get most things right? I kind of condensed a little bit what you sent me, but was that accurate?
That was perfectly right on. All good.
Perfect, perfect. So yeah, why don't we start by telling us a little bit about your YouTube journey, when you started, and how it's been going. How long ago did you start?
I actually posted my first video on August 20th. So I've only had 16 videos posted. And it, so I literally monetized after like my fifth video. I was only on
Wow.
YouTube for like less than a month. And it's been a little overwhelming because with all getting a lot of subscribers all at once, I haven't had the opportunity to make mistakes in private. So it's been going really well. I mean, it's like I said, I've been overwhelmed with how quickly everything happened, and I just feel like I am doing this huge learning curve in public, and sometimes that scares me.
Right, right. Um, that's impressive. So, 5 videos. It only took you 5 videos to get monetized, and that was over a few weeks.
Literally, the actual monetization, like getting the number of, I guess, views or hours viewed and the number of subscribers
Yeah.
took 2 days.
Wow. So
Yeah.
was it basically from your first video?
No, it was, I can't remember. It might have been like my fourth or fifth video. I did a video about getting laid off when I was 56,
Okay.
and it just exploded. And I think the unfortunate part of that is that there's a lot of people that are getting laid off in their 50s and 60s. And I think it just hit a note with people. And I think it's had over 600,000 views,
Wow.
something like that. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, I get so you basically hit a nerve, I guess, with people who something that really resonated. So do you think it was actually just to kind of back up a little bit, trying to figure out exactly why that one went viral? What kind of experience did you have before that in making videos? Is there anything like, did you just learn everything in August or maybe tell us a little bit about that?
Well, pretty much. So, I mean, I've worked in financial communications for, 30 years. And so I've had to do a lot of public speaking and that kind of stuff. And that's always been hard because I'm one of these, non-peopling people. I like to be in my little place and do my own little thing. I'm kind of an introvert, but I've had to deal with a lot of people throughout my career.
Okay.
So I had the experience of, talking to an imaginary audience or talking
Okay.
to an audience that I imagined, but I had no filming experience, no editing experience. I had never filmed a video outside of a small reel. I didn't know what an editing program was. I had to kind of download something and I used it on my first video. I had like 2 days worth of learning.
Okay. Very good. What do you use for your editing program?
So I use CapCut Pro, and
Okay.
I know there's a lot of editing snobs out there, and they're all about the DaVinci Resolve. But honestly, when I put DaVinci Resolve on
Yeah.
my computer kept crashing because I have a little MacBook Air, and I found that I didn't need all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I was doing simple videos, day in a life type vlogs. And I thought, I'm just going to use what feels right. So I have the paid version of CapCut,
Okay.
and it is absolutely fantastic.
Great. Yeah, I've heard. I have used CapCut a little bit, not enough to be proficient in it or anything. And DaVinci Resolve, I've used that as well. And yeah, that can be a little overwhelming, and yeah, maybe needs a little bit more of a beefier computer for sure. But yeah, CapCut. So when did you upgrade to the Pro version of CapCut? Is there something about the Pro version that you needed that you couldn't do in the free version? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so I literally upgraded to it in my first video
Okay.
because I like it has an audio kind of fixing piece
Okay.
to it where you can kind of adjust the sound of your video so that it's kind of even all across. And I had issues with my sound, like literally in my second or third video, I recorded it in mono, which
Okay.
I didn't even know what that meant. And I had some people saying, I can't hear you. And I'm like, I can hear it just fine. I don't know what the problem is. But I had got a new microphone and I didn't realize I had it on the wrong setting
Okay.
and it was recording mono. And so I was able to fix that in the editing, but I needed the pro version.
Right.
And now I know what I'm doing more or less with audio, kind of. So
Okay, very good. And what about camera? What kind of camera do you use?
oh my goodness. So I had a little Sony ZV-1. It's
Okay.
like a little vlogging camera. That's all I had. And that's what I use because that's what I have. It's okay. The battery literally dies in like 10 minutes.
Okay.
Um, and because it has this, like the sensor on it kind of crops things too much.
Oh, okay.
Like I'm getting to a place where I almost need a better camera, but
Uh-huh.
I kind of want to hold off. I have been using my iPhone, but it overheats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I have the iPhone Pro 15, I think it is, or something like that.
Okay.
And it's pretty good, but like I found it when it was warmer in the summer, it would overheat.
Huh. Okay. That's interesting. I've
So
never had that problem with mine. I wonder if it's mine's the 14 Pro Max. Um, so I don't know. Maybe there's different settings, but I've literally recorded with my phone for over an hour and it's not overheated. So I'm not sure what that's all about. But the ZV-1 I've heard is a pretty decent camera. That's the one that you can't change the lens though. Is that correct?
yeah, and that's part of the issue because I'm getting to a place where I'm starting to I'm trying to expand my videos to vlog style.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that the way the sensor is cropping things, it's really problematic. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to say, "Oh, I use my iPhone and that's all I need." And there's all these famous YouTubers and they use an iPhone. But you know what? I'm not technical, but I
Right.
do know that a wide angle lens is going to give me a better picture.
Right. Right. Or more of the picture, I guess. Like,
Exactly, exactly.
okay, very good. One of the cameras I have in here is the Sony ZV-E10, which I think is similar to the one you have. Only this one you can change the lens out. And
Hmm.
but once you start getting into cameras like that, then it's something a little bit heavier. if you're going to be walking around with it. So that some people use the I haven't, but like the DJI has, what's it called? The Osmo Pocket, I think it's called, which is very lightweight. Some people like that for walking around, but there's so many choices. It's really whatever works best for you.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
It certainly can be. Yeah. And but yeah, I've heard the one that you have is good for vlogging,
Mhm.
out and about and walking around. As far as your battery overheating, have you like one thing that I do when I'm live streaming? I'm using a Sony now when I'm live streaming. It's the A6400. And I use one of those dummy batteries. So I don't have a real battery in it. You put a dummy battery in it and you plug it into the wall. And that seems to work fine. At least the battery won't die in 10 minutes.
That's actually someone suggested that in my comments in one of my videos, and I have bought a battery pack or one of those plug-in type
Yeah.
battery power things, and I have used it, and that's great, but it's not amazing for walking around with it.
Oh, no.
So
Absolutely.
and I don't really want to buy a new camera until next year
Right.
because I want to see how things go. Because honestly, I've only posted 16 videos.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's amazing. And interacting with you, getting a lot of comments, lots of interaction.
I'm getting a lot of comments. I have been trying to answer a lot of them, but I get comments from like my older videos, and sometimes it gets overwhelming. So
Yeah.
I've kind of had to say to myself, okay, you're going to answer comments on the latest video and scan the other comments so that there's no spam or anything. But because I literally was spending an entire day answering comments, like 7 hours answering comments.
Yeah. Yeah. It can certainly be time consuming. Uh, but yeah, I guess and it all depends on what you're doing. It can certainly get to a point where there's just no way you can answer everybody, or at least have almost some canned responses that you say, a lot of the time. But yeah, it gets hard, especially if people start asking for almost support type questions, like how do you do this and how do I do this? I'm having trouble with that. But I don't know, maybe I get comments like that because I've made some tutorial type videos, but maybe that's not
Right.
something you get right now.
No, I mean,
Um,
I get a lot of really nice comments. I mean,
yeah,
I get my share of
negative comments.
they're not, I don't, well, yeah, I get a few. It's really weird. Like a lot of people don't engage, and I typically don't engage, but I don't allow certain things in my space.
Uh
Like if
huh.
someone makes comments about the way I look,
Right.
or, like I have, I like in one of my thumbnails, I'm wearing a t-shirt and I have a tattoo on my arm, and, I get comments about that are negative.
Okay.
I just delete those people. Like
Yep.
honestly, I'm old. I have no time for that.
No, and you know what? That's well within your right. It's disappointing that people would make comments like that, but again, I guess we can't control, the people out there who's watching and what they're going to say. But luckily, YouTube gives us the ability to kind of manage that. You can either just delete them or you can block them from ever posting again.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Just I'll take a look at see what other questions I had here for you. So you got monetized. Okay. Any challenges around getting monetized? Like so for a lot of people, it takes a long time. Like sometimes years. Actually, for me, it was 3.5 years before I got monetized. And I found I could apply ahead of time, but maybe what I should ask is, as a Canadian, so you're in Canada, I'm in Canada as well. Anything special you had to go through to get that ball rolling? Any hurdles you had to overcome to get monetized?
No, it was very simple for me. It literally, like, the whole process took a couple of days as
Hmm.
far as getting all the approvals. Like it sounds like, from what I read, it was actually very fast for me. And I
Okay.
think because there was no issues, I did have to provide ID.
Yeah.
Like that was something that they wanted right away. So I had to send my driver's license photos and whatnot. And then as far as getting the little PIN number for, your AdSense, like in order
Right.
to actually get paid, they have to verify your address. So they snail mail you. I'm
Right.
so glad that wasn't now, because with our mail strike, that would have
That's right.
never got to me.
Right. Right.
But that took exactly 4 weeks.
Okay.
Like they said 3 to 4 weeks, and it literally came 4 weeks to the day that they said they sent it.
Okay.
So yeah, and I've been paid. I've already been paid, and like my first month was insane. Like I think I made like $5,000.
Wow. Wow.
Uh, that's not gonna happen again, but um, and yeah, it was so weird, like looking in your bank account and you have a paycheck from Google.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess so that was from your because of your viral video.
Yeah, but I mean, like to be fair, my other
Yeah.
videos, they're not getting those kind of views, but they're getting like an, I would say the average view is about 10,000 views.
Okay.
So I don't think that, and some videos get more than that. Like it,
Hmm.
kind of depends what what you're doing, but that seems to kind of be the average right now.
Right. Okay. Um, I'm sure people are going to love to hear that's a potential thing to look forward to if they can kind of follow your steps. What about other ways of monetizing? Have you thought about or any plans in the future about doing anything else to try to turn this more into a business and earn outside of just YouTube AdSense, or are you strictly focused on the AdSense?
So I wouldn't mind doing a brand sponsorship type deal,
Hmm.
but I'm really picky, and I don't, I don't want my channel to become infomercial or, like another form of shopping network. Um, I have an agency that I'm working with who are going to be looking after my brand deals. They're out of LA. And I've already said to them, I have brands that I use every day that I love. I
Yeah.
absolutely love. And I would love to work with those brands. So our goal is to really like approach brands or work with brands that I already use and
Okay.
that I really like. And I would prefer to do less brand deals,
Hmm.
but get the brands that I want.
Great. I think that's super smart. Yeah, you may not want your channel to turn into an infomercial type of channel, and I don't think your viewers probably would want that either. So that's probably good. I think a lot of people focus too much. I mean, there are videos out there that say you can make a whole lot more on brand deals than on AdSense. You should focus more on that. But the reality is, if you don't get the right brands, do you have trouble with, or not trouble? Are you contacted a lot by brands who want you to work with them?
I am. I get a lot of emails, and that's why I work with an agency,
Right.
because I don't want to deal with this stuff. Like, quite frankly, they're better at it than I am.
Yeah.
I come from a very professional corporate background, and I have the view that you deal with things you can deal with, and then offload the stuff that you can't do, like getting your plumbing fixed, to the professionals. And
Yeah.
so that's what I did with that. And honestly, for me, it's not about money.
Yeah.
Like, if I would do a brand deal because I love the brand, and the extra money will buy me a camera next year, or
Right.
it will help to send me to Australia to see my grandkids.
Okay.
But I'm not really, like, I didn't start the channel to make a ton of money or anything. It was more
Yeah.
like, can I do this? Can I actually monetize it? Like, this is a challenge.
Right. Awesome. That's a great way to look at it. Any I don't know if pushback is the right word, but any, so like family and friends, how many people in your like inner circle know that you're doing this, and was that a concern of yours when you decided to start this up?
So I have a very tiny family. Like I'm on my own, and I have two sons, and they're married, and they just think this is the coolest thing ever. My son in Australia is like, he calls me, "How much did you get paid, Mom? Can you buy a ticket to Melbourne?"
Yeah.
And like he's all excited that I can go there. And I have five grandchildren. And my oldest grandsons, they're 11 and 10, and they like to watch my videos. They live in Melbourne, so they like to watch their Nana on on video. And one of them was, saying Nana is a YouTuber, and I have a video with that title, and that's where it came from. So, my family thinks this is so cool.
That's awesome. That's great that you have that support group, and I can almost um, I can understand that. I have two kids as well, and they're in their early 20s, and I like to think that they think it's pretty cool that I'm doing this as well. It's a little bit out of the norm. People our age, I guess, getting into YouTube.
Hmm. I'm seeing more and more channels popping out all the time. I'll give you credit for that because you're one of the people that motivated me to actually post a video. Like we were chatting before, you and Virginia Kerr were like, you can do this. So I thought,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to stop talking about it and I'm just going to do it.
Awesome. That's great. Love to hear that. What about actually, I've got a couple of questions here that came in. So I posted this on my community board a couple days ago, and a couple of questions came in there. One is actually, it's a general question from Penny C. How and when can one apply for the Amazon affiliate program? I'm not even sure if that applies. Is that something that you're looking at doing or have done?
I have Amazon affiliate links in my description. I
Hmm.
didn't even know that really existed, and it was another commenter that said, "Oh, you should do this." Um, you can apply for that anytime. The only thing I would say about that as a Canadian is that I can really only have links to the Canadian Amazon store. Otherwise, you get into some tax type of issues, and I
Hmm.
don't really know how to do the where you can post links to the US store, nor do I want the hassle, to be honest, with
Right.
Revenue Canada. But so it's so negligible that, like I think over the past 3 months that I've had the links on there, I've earned $2.
Mm.
So
Hardly worth the effort. I think
exactly.
I think it's more of a important thing to do for channels maybe that are reviewing products. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
than maybe, or even channels that are created for the sole purpose of, top five products for whatever, and then they make most of their money on Amazon links. But yeah, what you're saying is, as a Canadian as well, I did apply for the affiliate program, and to answer Penny's question, you can apply at any time. But there are thresholds you have to meet. And I think the first time I applied, I think it's 6 months, and I did not earn enough, so they canceled it. I had to reapply. So I guess the answer to that
Hmm.
question is make sure you have enough views that maybe you can sustain some growth. Otherwise, you'll have to reapply again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then another question was, what is the best way you have monetized your? Okay, we already talked about this. I'm sorry. Why don't I go into the live chat here because there's a lot here now. Sandy McKenzie, and actually I can click on this and have it show up. She says, Raina, I wanted to know why you sent all your snow to me in Ontario. P.S. Rob, I'm sending it your way. Thank you both for taking your time. So I assume it's snowing out there in Calgary, is it?
Yeah, so I had a video that I did, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and honestly, we got 20 centimeters of snow in one day. And
Okay.
normally we get 20 centimeters in the entire month of November.
Okay.
And so we had a lot of snow in November. We now had a Chinook. I don't know if people know what that is, but it's these warm winds that come in, and you can literally go from minus 30 one day to like plus 10 the next day, like overnight. And so we've had a Chinook. So we had this huge melt. And so a lot of our snow is gone. So maybe it did go to like Ontario or the Maritimes or somewhere like that.
Well, yeah, so yeah, for those who don't know, Calgary typically gets a lot more snow than we do in the Maritimes. We've had a dusting here. That's about all we've had so far this year, maybe a couple centimeters, and then rain took it all away. So there's nothing here right now. But I did hear also that Ontario got some as well. Um, okay. Oh, here's a question here from Sophia. She says, Raina, what has been the biggest change in your everyday life since you became a YouTuber?
Oh, so, I have cameras set up all over the house all the time. And I've I've actually had to establish like a working routine, like because this takes me about 25 to 30 hours a week, like
Okay.
honestly, between filming and kind of figuring out the script, answering comments, editing, because I'm doing everything myself. It's taking a lot of time. And also, I'm new at this. So everything takes me maybe twice as long as it would take someone who's really knowledgeable about editing or things like that. So I found that I've procrastinated in things like going to the gym and eating healthy food because I'm too busy doing YouTube. So it's like getting a new job. You have to figure it out. And there's probably this half a year, 1 year kind of learning curve. And hopefully things will settle down. But I have a lot of camera gear like hanging all over my house.
Like lights and things like that?
I don't have lights yet, which is something
No?
I'm going to have to get because in Calgary, we lose daylight very, very early.
Okay.
So by 4 o'clock, it's pretty much dark here.
Wow. Okay.
Um, So I need to get lights and I have no idea what to get. But you know what? We are so lucky in Calgary. We have this camera store. It's called the Camera Store.
Okay.
And it kind of caters like to both the professionals and the, you know, enthusiastic amateurs. And the guys there are so amazing and they help me with everything.
Awesome. That's cool. I'm shocked that you lose light at 4 o'clock. I thought we lose it at around 5 o'clock here. But yeah, what time does it get light in the morning?
Um, I would say like light enough to film probably by around 9:30 if you're not
Okay. Yeah.
using lights.
Yeah.
But I mean it's like Calgary has it gets dark early, it stays dark later, but then during the day you get this bright, bright sun. We have like severe cold and incredibly bright sun when you have the daylight hours. So winter is definitely challenging for newbies like me who don't know what they're doing with filming.
Right. Very good. Yeah, it sounds it. I mean, I've been to Red Deer. Actually, I've been to Calgary too, but it was so cold when I was there about 5 years ago. It's just a different cold than what we get here. It's drier somehow.
Mhm.
Uh, but anyways, I don't think people are here to listen to us talk about the weather. Here's a question though from Keith Carnival. What's the best way to overcome being camera shy? I was thinking of taking a local acting class. Is that something that you've struggled with at all, or?
Wow. Well, I don't watch my videos more than like once because I always think I look so weird and so geeky on camera. I don't know. I think it's one of those things you just have to do. And I think you get better as you do it. I've never thought of taking an acting class. It's such a great idea. It probably gives you a lot of tips on how to deal with being in front of a camera. I have taken, when I worked in the financial sector, I did take a media course. So, talking to the media, which is a little bit different, but, you know, kind of in there, in that
Sure.
space.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's similar. Yeah, I have a different background than you do, but for me, I tend to try to think like I'm talking to a friend, and just the more you do it, the more used to it you get. Do you find, so you having just started in August, do you find you're getting quicker at it? Like, what would be your bottleneck when you're making a video? What takes you the longest? Is it maybe script writing, or maybe you don't even script write, or the editing, or what takes you the longest?
You know what? When it's a talking head um, film or video, it's really easy now. Like I can, have a talking head video in a day and have it edited the next day because in CapCut you can really see where you're pausing, and I've learned how to cut stuff out.
Yeah.
The challenges in the vlog, I'm always like, how do people set up the camera? How do they how do they get like this really cool shot of them cutting an apple or something?
Yeah.
I think vlogging is harder actually than doing a sit down video. But I have maybe an unpopular view, which I'll share, and that is that a lot of us over 50 YouTubers are doing talking head videos. That's seems to be the norm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's having its moment, but I think YouTube has a very short trend span.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people will get tired of this talking head thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll always have a place, but I think at some point you need to do more.
Okay. That's I like that. That's very insightful. Trends do come and go, and perhaps this whole talking head thing is kind of a blip. I think when it comes right down to it, you're probably right in that the better the actual video is edited, the more people may want to watch it. Right now, I think there are a lot of people that like to see the whole, the authentic type of video, talking head style. But yeah, that's very interesting. That's an interesting point that you don't necessarily see that as being as trendy in the future as it has been. Maybe that's a 2024 thing.
No, I think people get tired. They
Yeah.
want to see things grow. And I think you need to expand, like, you have to provide value at the end of the day.
Hmm.
People think YouTube is this fun thing, but it's actually a lot of hours out of your day. And a lot of people who kind of don't get monetized end up just getting tired of doing it because there's kind of no reward at the end of it.
Hmm.
And if you want to be monetized, then it becomes a business. Like
Hmm.
that's the hard fact. It's a business, and you need to get better at it. You need to kind of expand your repertoire without losing the genuine you. And that's
Hmm.
hard.
Hmm.
That's really hard.
Something you mentioned too about making vlog style being hard. I would totally agree with you there. It's not the type of video I've made, and I have thought about it. I've made maybe one. I think I did one on how I built my closet and stuff like that. But you're right. Every little scene had to be thought out. It's like, okay, if I want a shot of me doing this with this piece of gear, where do I put the camera? Is that well lit and all this? And every scene can take a lot of time. And what I found is it just takes a ton of time to make a video like that. Whereas if I just sit down in my chair with my camera or go for a walk with my camera and talk and share my thoughts, that is a whole lot easier. And maybe that's partly why it's a popular type of video to make these days.
Oh yeah, like it's and also like when I make, let's say, my cooking videos or day
Hmm.
in life videos, they actually get less views than some of my just talking head videos. And then you're kind of like, well, I just spent a week, like a whole week filming this, and
Yeah.
this other one took a day. But I don't want to get into a rut. I want to be able to offer viewers the things that I wanted to see when I
Right.
was looking for channels.
Right.
You know, I wanted a lifestyle channel. I wanted to see a woman over 50 doing, makeup and food and, talking about issues and problems.
Hmm.
So that's kind of what I'm trying to do.
I think that's fantastic. You're building your channel into something you yourself would like to see instead of building videos chasing views, like building a video just because you think it's going to do better with views. I think there's a great lesson there. I think that's
It
fabulous.
it's also kind of a privileged place to be because I'm retired
Mm-hmm.
and I have a retirement income from
Mm-hmm.
being in the investment world for many years. So this was kind of an extra. It was an on top. It was so I can have the luxury of maybe having videos that don't get as many views, but that I enjoy making.
Right. Okay, very good. Yeah, no, I think that's a smart way to do it because you have to one of the things is you have to enjoy what you're doing. You have to enjoy making videos, or you're more apt to give it up if you don't like doing it. And you, um, being somebody who's actually not doing this for the sole purpose of making money, some people do start YouTube because they want to make money and they become impatient because it's not happening as fast as they'd like it to happen. But maybe if they had the ability to step back and approach it kind of like the way you are, just build something that you'd like to actually watch. I think that's maybe that would come easier for them that way.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're bang on there.
Okay, another question here. Wellness Education Network says, how can someone create a community and keep them engaged? Is that something that you've thought about or
Well, I
not?
have because to be blunt, when I first started my channel, I thought it was going to be like, 100 ladies chatting about menopause in the comments or something like that, over 50 kind of topics. And all of a sudden, it's this huge amount of people. But what's really awesome is that you start recognizing some of the commenters, and there's some great people who comment, and I'm lucky because I have both men and women who are regulars, which is kind of unusual in my type of channel. But I think it's because I talk about investing as well, and the
Right.
guys kind of like that. Um, and I'm getting to know the people and the names, and you can interact better, which I love. You can kind of chat because you know that person already. And some of those people are on my Instagram as well.
Okay.
I do have an Instagram. It's not as big as my channel, but I just like it's so awesome. Like seeing these people, I don't know them personally,
Yeah.
but they're so nice.
That's great. So you are kind of building a community within basically the comments section of your channel and also Instagram. That's cool. Um,
That's why I
any
try and answer the comments as much as I can.
yeah. Yeah, and like you say, that could be very time consuming, depending on how many you get.
Yes.
Another question from Sandy McKenzie. Are you building a content strategy for 2025? Are you making some changes? Any changes on the horizon?
So I don't mind sharing my 2025 plans. So the first part of the year, that's where I like to do my financial stuff,
Mm,
January, February, people are thinking about money. So I think that's a good time to do those kind of videos. And I want to do some more organizational type. People want to see, my closet. I mean, I don't know why they want to see my closet, but they do. And I think women are interested in, how do you organize your clothes? What do you buy? I mean, people are curious.
yeah.
I'm curious. I watch certain channels because they kind of do this kind of stuff. Um, I will probably go to Australia for 2 months.
Hmm.
And that actually gives me a whole new world to film. About it's so different. February in Australia is different than February in Calgary.
Right. Yeah.
So I do have some plans, but I kind of want to keep true to my format. It's a lifestyle channel, and we touch on beauty, organization, healthy food, wellness, mental health, finances.
Very good. When you're in Australia, you plan on filming some videos down there as well?
Yes, because like for anyone who wants to do YouTube, my biggest tip, my most important tip is you need to be consistent.
Hmm.
Whether it's you putting out a video once a week, if that's what you do, then keep doing it. If it's once every 2 weeks, then keep like be consistent in what you do and what you promise to your audience.
Hmm. That's great advice. Great advice. Did you, when you started, did you always, so it looks like you do a video about once a week. Was that the plan right from the get-go? And do you have trouble meeting that? Like, does it almost feel like a deadline, or are you done early and you wait for that next video to be posted?
So I always wanted to do one video a week. Initially, I
Hmm.
was thinking maybe one video every 2 weeks.
Hmm.
My videos are all like 20 minutes or longer. So
Hmm.
that's a lot of filming.
Hmm.
That is a lot of filming. And sometimes, especially if I'm doing a vlog type thing, I'm filming all week. So it does get really scary. Like, I'm posting a video tomorrow morning and I still haven't done my thumbnail and I still haven't done, a few things.
Hmm.
Um, but I like the once a week. I really admire people that do more than that, but no, I have zero desire to do like Vlogmas or, everyday posting. And I think quite honestly, the quality of your videos suffers when you're a noob like me and you're posting like every day or twice a week.
Right. Right, and that's important. Yeah, if you can't keep the quality up that your viewers are expecting or want to see from you, then maybe it doesn't make sense to post more often than once a week or even once every 2 weeks or whatever it is. Okay, great. Another question here from where are we? Andy Coleman says, Rob and Raina, I subscribe to both of your channels and enjoy your videos. Thank you, Andy. When you record your videos, do you have an outline with bullet points off camera? And if so, where are these notes displayed? So, do you want to take that one first and then maybe I'll add?
So if I'm doing a talking head video, I have my iPad, which is my most prized possession. I couldn't survive life without my iPad. And I have very, very brief bullet points. And I film in segments. So I'll have one bullet point, I know what it is, and I'll film that segment. And
Okay.
then I'll cut the video off, and then I'll film the next bullet point. And then in editing, I splice those pieces together as close as I can. And I'm starting to get better at, putting segments together so that there's
Hmm.
less dead space.
Hmm.
Um, so that's what I do. That's what works for me. But I think everyone's different.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's great. Actually, I hadn't heard that. Well, I suppose that would make sense. If you're not always sitting or standing in the same place, yeah, you can move around in different locations for each point. That's probably a good tactic to use, anyways, because I think people like to see something different in the background every once in a while, anyways.
Mhm.
Okay, so one bullet point at a time, and then you stitch them all together. And I guess that would get you used to using CapCut as well, and you're probably getting much quicker at stitching those together now too.
I definitely depend on my editing. And actually, the longer I'm on YouTube, the more I depend on editing to get things together.
Mm.
I think if I ever had a channel that was, like 100,000 subscribers or something, I would consider getting someone to edit the videos because it's the longest process out of this whole thing.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Interesting that you say that. Yeah. It certainly can be, and it could, like you said earlier too. If you the more complicated you want to make your video, it could take a long time, especially if
Mhm.
you're adding all kinds of B-roll and stuff. Um, just to kind of put a bow on that last question, the way I do it is I do typically write down 3 or 4 or 5 bullet points, and a lot of times, like if I'm sitting in my chair here, Andy, I think it was who asked the question. I will tape my bullet points on a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and I'll tape it onto my tripod right below the camera so that I can refer to it. And oftentimes, I like if I'm purposefully trying to make a video in one take, then I try to make it very discreet if I have to glance down. Like sometimes I'm talking, I'll be looking around, maybe I look down, and I try to kind of hide that I'm looking at it. I don't know how good I am at doing that, but the more you try it, the more, the better you get at it. But there's always the option of just completely cutting it and just stop talking, and then I'll read the bullet point, and then, okay, boom, and go again. And then you cut those, cut the ending and then the beginning together and splice it together. Yeah, so different ways to do it. Or if I'm going for a walk, I will quite often write bullet points on a little cue card and put it in my pocket that I may or may not refer to. But yeah, so many different ways to do this. It's interesting to hear the different ways. So that's interesting, one bullet point at a time. And then I guess you can, so you don't script the actual thing. You don't use a teleprompter ever?
No, because I like initially I did exactly what you're talking about. Like the first video, I think I taped something on, the tripod, and I
Mm-hmm.
found like I was always like
Yeah.
this, looking down, and I had to do so much edit. It drove me crazy. And I thought,
Okay.
no, like I would rather just stop the filming and then look at my next point, think about what I'm saying, and then do the next segment. And when I'm vlogging, like if I'm doing like a cooking thing or, like a day in a life type of deal, then it's a little more organic
Yeah.
because, I'll do something in the filming and it's kind of quirky, but I'll leave it in because what the heck, like this is a vlog. You
Yeah.
don't need to, I don't want to become this perfect person. Like I have zero desire to become an influencer, perfect person, because I think people are tired of that.
Yeah. And just to further that, I don't think that's what people are looking for in YouTube, anyways. They like to see real people, and if you trip over your words or you mess up or you grab the wrong ingredient, if it's a cooking video, whatever, I think they'll be able to relate to you more and say, "Oh yeah, I do that too." So I think that's a
I
good. That's a
know
good.
it's kind of so I wear, you probably can't see it, but I wear braces, and
Oh no.
so I'll be filming something, and they're the what are they called? Invisalign. Like they're like
Okay.
these whatever, like this kind of silicone material. And sometimes my lips get caught on my braces because they get dry when you're talking. And I actually had a comment from some lovely person who was like, "You got weird teeth." And I'm like, "No, it's just my braces." But and it's like, I'll have to be sitting there editing all these weird things out of my video. Um, the power of editing. But sometimes I'm just like, whatever.
I think that's the right attitude. Because again, there's a comment you could just, I mean, you don't even have to answer a comment like that, just delete. Yeah. Another question here from the Philippines. Let's do the Philippines is the username. Whoops. Here we go. Question is, I recently started a channel about retiring early in my 50s to the Philippines, investing daily life here. How much personal info, or how do you prevent from giving away too much personal info? So any thoughts on that?
Ooh, so I used to work in the Philippines. I don't know if people know that.
Oh, I didn't know
But
that.
yeah, and I worked on the island of Mindanao, which is actually in the southern part of Philippines, and probably not a place any Canadian should ever go to. It's very dangerous. And Philippines is so huge. I could see how, like privacy would be a thing. I I mean, I don't really give the name of companies I worked at, or I don't give my last name. People can find all this stuff out. When you're on YouTube and you show your face and you're kind of a regular, people will find out information about you.
Hmm.
And all you can do is try and stay private about where you live. I don't film house numbers around where I live. I don't film outside of houses, like
Hmm.
the actual structures.
Hmm.
I'll film like walking along the river, but there's like Calgary has thousands of miles of pathways and you can be anywhere like walking along the river. Everybody walks along the river.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a tough one. Like I try and be careful
Hmm.
about the kind of information I give out about my own personal situation,
Hmm.
but it's a tough one. It's a tough one if you're on YouTube and you have a lot of subscribers.
Hmm. Hmm. That's good advice to not include house numbers or walk by anything that's obvious where people can pinpoint where you are. I think that's great advice. Um, Now that just looking at the time here, we still have a few minutes left. Question from Anoholics says, do you have a queue with uploaded videos that are planned to be released, or do you make every week a new video? Do you have any videos in reserve in case you get sick or you really can't film?
Honestly, like you guys, I am like a total noob. I'm learning this like one video at a time. I I don't have anything in reserve. I just make it a priority to do my job and film my video every week. I don't give out prompts. I don't do anything that maybe you're supposed to do. I just enjoy being on YouTube. I just enjoy doing my video, putting it out there. And I'm trying not to get too uptight about all of these. You should do this, you should do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great. That's what about so is there a specific day every week that you want to publish by, or is it just, if it's ready for Tuesday, great. If not, maybe I post it this week on Thursday.
No, I look at this as a job with a
Okay.
deadline.
Yep.
And my videos are put into YouTube Studio on Monday
Hmm.
and they are scheduled for Tuesday morning 9:30 Calgary time.
Okay.
And I consider that my drop dead kind of deadline. And I imagine having a boss screaming at me if I don't get it done. I used to be in the armed forces and I have this, I'm very deadline driven
Okay.
and very type A. And so yeah, that's kind, even though this is fun, it's
Yeah.
still a job and I have to do a good job.
That's great. No, that's awesome. And I hear that all the time, that consistency is key. If your audience is used to your videos dropping at 9:30 on Tuesday mornings, then some people might wonder what happened if one doesn't drop on a Tuesday. um, so for myself, just to so another way to do it, what I have had several in reserve before, and this I'm talking 6 months ago when I was making three a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and also doing a live stream every week. But my videos were more tutorial based, so I could sit down and film three or four in a day and just capture my screen, and editing them together wasn't that hard because the intro and the outro were very similar. Um, but I don't know. I found for me, even if I had them scheduled, I'd say, oh, wow, I've got the next 2 weeks videos done. Um, I would always want to change something. Like I would think, well, those two videos just came out and this one's supposed to come out the next day. I don't think it makes sense for that one to come out. I'm going to make another one. And I don't know. I just find for me, it makes a little more sense just to go with the flow. Like right now, I want to put a video out Wednesday morning. I haven't even started it yet. So I think I'm more like you now in that.
I bow down to you because I don't even know if I could like how would I manage being retired if I had to work all the time?
That's funny. All right, let me just see if there's any other questions here. We're about 4 minutes to the hour. Um, let's see. No, I don't, unless I missed them. I dropped my, oh, someone just said I drop my videos 24 hours before they go live so I can let the channel members get an advanced screening. Oh, okay, that's a cool idea too. Um, no, I think that's it. Any closing words at all, Raina? Any closing words of advice for people who might want to, who aspire to get to where you are now, but are just kind of starting out? What advice do you have for them?
I think really two pieces, and one is, well, three. One is just go ahead and film something and put it out there, which is what, I wasn't doing for a long time. And then when I did it, it was great.
Hmm?
Number two, just be consistent in how you post. And number three, have fun. Like people want you to do all kinds of videos and, they want to see this, that, and the other thing. At the end of the day, it's your channel and you need to enjoy filming what you're filming and enjoy the content as well.
Hmm?
And so, have some modicum of fun doing the YouTube channel.
Very good. I like that. And actually, just another question popped into my head because you mentioned something earlier about wanting to make more vlog type videos, but having some difficulties like camera placements and things like that. So, do you plan to make more videos like that? Are you slowly going to introduce some of those things into videos, or are you going to try to make one video that's all that, but it might take you a month to make?
No, I mean, I've started doing like a few of my videos in the past few weeks have been more vloggy, chatty kind of
Okay.
videos. So I'm kind of trying to do at least every second video to be a little more vlog style. And I'm actually just trying to be, less talking head and more kind of chatty, interactive, hey, I'm speaking to a friend kind of video. Like that's
Hmm.
kind of where I want to train myself to be.
Oh, very good. No, that's cool. Awesome. I think we'll wrap it up there because we're pretty much at the top of the hour. Thank you so much, Raina, for joining us today. This was a lot of fun. And maybe we'll do this again sometime. Oh, one last question I wanted to ask you. People might be interested. You ever considered doing live streams yourself? Is that something in the plans, or are you just going to keep doing the video thing?
I haven't considered doing live streams. And again, like we have to keep in mind, like I've only been on YouTube for 16 videos.
Right.
So not that I'm going to say never, but it's not really where I see myself going.
Okay.
I'm a little bit too, I like to be alone and do my alone thing and not people. The great thing about YouTube for introverts is you're with people, but they're not there in front of you. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I don't know how to answer that one.
Yeah, no, that's it's certainly not for everybody. And a lot of times I'll suggest to people try live streaming if you're having trouble getting the watch hours. But it sounds like, I mean, you got your watch hours right away, and there's really no looking back. So that's not a reason you have to needing to do that.
Yeah, and I appreciate you having me on. This has been so much fun and a new experience. So I'm loving it.
Great. Well, maybe we'll do it again sometime. Thanks again,
For
Raina.
sure.
I'll
Thank
I'll
you.
let you go, and
Okay.
for yeah, for the rest of you, if you want to join me tomorrow, I'll be back live for the regular live stream, and then also next week I'll have another special guest on Monday at the same time. So thanks everybody for stopping in. Thanks again to Raina for joining us, and we'll talk soon. Bye.
Bye, everyone.